It's a wonder our dipstick media didn't report this. Trump and Putin conspire on a tsunami to crush the world. It's about how ridiculous the coverage we're getting on a lot of aspects today on everything. It's a minor miracle we can keep our sanity sometimes when we're bombarded, I'll get it out, with the stupidity we hear on a daily basis. Tired of hearing the words transparency, accountability, we are the ones of the truth, when you know they are not. We'll cover this more as we go on in the show. Breaking news in California. Kind of disappointed. She's the one person, center-right candidate like Bianco Hilton, Grinnell, Caruso, or somebody can beat. But Kamala Harris bows out of the California governor's race in 26. Here's the Ashley Zavala report.
Breaking news coming from former Vice President Kamala Harris, as she has just announced that she will not be running for California governor, opening up the race for many eyeing the position, especially in the Democratic Party. In a statement today, Harris said, quote, "In recent months, I have given serious thought to asking the people of California for the privilege to serve as their governor. I love this state, its people, and it's my promise. It is my home. But after deep reflection, I've decided that I will not run for governor in this election." End of quote. Thanks for joining.
Again, that's disappointing. We thought, I was hoping, because she's a prototypical candidate, that a center-right candidate could finally take the governorship. And I'm not counting Arnold Kennedy. Pete Wilson, maybe Duke Majian, Reagan. This was once very Republican center to right state. Till really 74 is when Moonbeam got in and we started going off the deep end. We'll cover this a little bit more when Susan Shelley comes on. There's her statement, as you heard. Jerome Powell, chairman of the Fed, decided not to lower interest rates today, despite the economy and real wages going up. Here's Jerome Powell.
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Despite heightened uncertainty, the economy is still in a solid position. The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment. Inflation has come down a great deal, but has been running somewhat above our 2% longer run objective. In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged.
This is going to kill. This is going to kill the United States. You know, you're subsidizing half the world. Europe, most of Europe is paying half the real interest rate that we are paying in the frickin' United States. And this clown will not lower the interest rates because it will even torch off a bigger economic boom and more real wage growth, which he admitted has only happened in the last 50 years under Trump, both Trump administrations now, and slightly under Richard Nixon. Again, you dummies in California, United States, 350 million of them, look in the mirror. You are subsidizing Europe and China and Russia and who knows whoever on interest rates because of this clown. This clown is trying to suppress your real wage growth, your economic ability to achieve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's got to stop. The real Donald J., El Presidente 45 and current 47, had this to say.
Likewise, so we have a lot of money coming in and we have no inflation, and we should, and we're very strong, and we should be lowering the rates. You know, each point that this gentleman keeps up costs us $365 billion a year. Think of that. 1 point, $365 billion. If you bring it down a point, we save 365. We should be the lowest interest rate, and we're not. We're 38, number 38, because of the Fed. It's all because of the Fed.
It's all because of the Fed. As Trump pointed out, we should have the lowest interest rate. We're down at 38. Going from low to high. We're going the wrong direction. And we're subsidizing all these other cats. Are you loving this? All you Trump or Harris, center left, Mandani or whatever the hell his name is in New York, Hochul the Yokel and the rest of the crew, Newsom. Is that what you really want? You want a future, not only your future flushed down the toilet, you want your kids and future generations flushed down the toilet too? That's what you're working at. Remember all those who said Trump policies would ruin the economy? It is time to ignore them entirely going forward. Remember, Powell said, oh, GDP growth is only going to be 1.2%. It was 3%, almost 3 times higher. Simple economics. And if you only understand one thing about economics, you should understand real wage growth. Because that means you can, if your dollar buys more today than it did yesterday. And that's how you build wealth. If you only understand that, then you will not buy this 98.7% BS, or I'm going to give you a cookie, or a candy bar, or a hit of cocaine, or a fentanyl pill to make you feel better for a few minutes or a few seconds while it's slowly killing you. This is what we're headed for. Sheriff warns of the doorbell kicking phenomena that's going in. You could wind up dead.
After our story aired, because he wanted people to know if a TikTok challenge doesn't stop, people are going to get hurt or worse.
It pretty much clicked right away that this was a prank that's been growing in popularity on TikTok and other social media.
This is what Ben Pekacek heard inside of his home just after midnight. His wife already asleep, but Ben was awake and already getting alerts from his Ring camera.
I saw 2 people walking up the driveway. I immediately hit the panic button on my Ring system.
The military veteran says it immediately brought him back to his combat days.
They kicked the door. That's what set me off, where I threw the phone and said, oh, they're trying to break in.
He says he ran outside with his gun while his wife dialed 911, thinking he would confront the intruders. The people had already driven off. Heartland police tell us the teens in the video were participating in the viral TikTok challenge called the Door Kick Challenge. It is where you ring a doorbell and hit or kick a door and then take off.
Some really dumb decisions by some young people that could have gone a very different way if I was about 8 seconds faster.
Police in Elm Grove also released this surveillance video asking for people to help them identify this person wearing a mask caught on a Ring camera doing something similar. Police say they took multiple reports of similar instances in the last week. The Waukesha County Sheriff's Department says the same thing was going on in their department, though most of the instances were reported in Sussex.
Why did you want to talk now? Why did you think it was important?
If the individuals responsible for this take any lessons from this, it's not funny. It's not.
No, it's not. Doorbell kicking challenge. You wake somebody up
I always go the crass route.
Match game is always class.
who was asleep. You're kicking their door in. They think you're breaking in. You could wind up dead. That's what one of the sheriffs said in this article. Holy bleeping cow. I wanted to get to this one. Lee Zeldin, part of the Trump administration, put this up. Gas cans used to pour gas, now they just dribble like child sippy cup. The Trump's EPA message to gas can makers: vent the darn can and let it flow, baby, flow. This whole safety thing, and you can't have, and it's safety, you can't get the frickin' gas out of the can. And you're going to torture us 98.7% of the people who know how to pour gas out of a can without blowing themselves up or catching it on fire, because we got to come down to the lowest common frickin' denominator, and it's crushing society. EPA Director Zeldin has got it right. You know, if you can't handle stuff or you're stupid, you're going to pay the consequences. Learn how to pour gas out of a frickin' can. Don't torture everybody else who know how to pour gas out of a can and get it out of there without waiting all day and half spilling it on yourself and coming up with 97 new 4-letter words because the gas won't get out of the can because some stupid idiot somewhere doesn't know how to pour gas or has no brains. Thank goodness we got guys like Lee Zeldin in there. Yes. The great EPA director, he should have been governor of New York instead of yokel hokel. We'll see if California sharpens up. Even though it's going to be a tougher race. Now that Kamala's bowed out, we'll have, Bill Asaley, last one. So there's a lot of misinformation about what's been going on about this whole illegals and what they're doing and ICE. Here's the facts. 53 criminal complaints have been filed and signed by a federal judge. Of those cases, 9 have been indicted by a grand jury, 7 waived indictment and proceeded by way of information, 4 pleaded guilty, 6 were dismissed without prejudice, meaning they can be refiled anytime within the statute of limitation. The remaining 26 cases are making their way through the court process and are at various stages. For those unfamiliar with criminal prosecutions, when they are reactive arrests, like we had during the riots, it's not uncommon for a complaint to be dismissed so that law enforcement can conduct additional investigation and collect more evidence. So again, don't believe the dipstick media who with crocodile tears and they're torturing the Mexicans and the whole thing. Stick it up your rear end. And listen to us at IE Newswire. We'll give you the straight scoop. And we'll give you real economics and something that will really build and uplift your daily life. There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil FB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, and the Roy Blecker channel. Check us out, subscribe, all that good stuff. Kamala dropped the bombshell today. She's not running for California governor in 2026. to succeed Gavin Newsom. I was counting on that. Lots of press reports coming out. Everybody, those in the knew. She's angling or thinks she's going to make a run at president again in 28. Or maybe 32, who knows? I really think she probably will run, most likely. At this point, the way I see it, is probably going to be everybody seems thinking politics can change in a heartbeat. It's going to be a J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio ticket for the Republicans in 28. And barring a Donald J. meltdown or something, Watergate conspiracy, something coming on, pretty much that will be. But as I've said, was disappointed. I think, and I've really had nobody dispute me on this. If we're to get a center-right candidate that can win the governorship in California in 26, Kamala Harris was the prototype candidate we could have beat. Hands down. Any of them. Chad Bianco, Steve Hilton, any of them. I'm thoroughly convinced she was the one. Just like Donald J., that was perfect. Kamala Harris was, besides a mentally incompetent Joe Biden, Kamala Harris was a perfect candidate, just like Hillary was in 16 for Donald J. Trump to beat. I think it puts it in. They don't really have any superstars that have showed up with some gravitas on the center-left Democratic side. Ding Dong Tony Thurmond, old Biddy Tracy Tony Atkins, former senator this, Antonio Villaraigosa, old man, needs a cane practically to get around. Former mayor of LA, lost a couple of times for governor, didn't even get into the runoff the last time. The cockroach, whatever her name is, it's lieutenant governor. I mean, daddy's got $1 billion or so bucks. But she's about as charismatic as a doorbell. Betty Yee, whoever else is, Bonner was smart enough to pull his name out. Katie Porter, who I would say, and I mean this is subject to change in the next second, I would think of the ones now, I would think Katie Porter's probably on a name recognition basis since she ran for senator 2 years ago throughout the state. At least people kind of know who she is. I think that's why she comes out on the top of the polls. She's an absolute psycho chick. She's about like Kamala Harris with a slightly bit more intelligence. But even though Kamala's not out, and if California keeps going on the trajectory it is, highest gas prices in the nation, highest electricity, roads clogged, can't get anywhere, everything just chaos. Closing more refineries if gas goes up. It'll be 1,000%. We can take the governorship still, even though Kamala bowed out. Shout out to Fred who's commenting. And thanks for the shout out, Jackie. You know, we'll get to the other parts, the Harmony Haven and the housing deal at the Board of Supervisors, probably tomorrow or Friday on the show. But we've got 1,000% we can take this state back. We can start a lot of stuff. We need to pick up the 4 congressional seats that we lost in 2022. Newsom ain't going to get the redistricting thing. He's got to go to the voters and call a special election, which would cost us at least $250 million. And then people are not going to want to take away the independent commission, which they voted for in 2010. He's smoking his lunch on that. So we need to work on that. We need 7 assembly seats in the state house just to get down to eliminate their supermajority of 2/3 where they can override a veto. Because even if we get a center-right governor in, the legislature can veto. The legislature in the Senate, they're 75% Democrat. They only need 2/3 to override a veto. You can leave 7 votes on the table, 4 in the Senate, we got 80 and 40, on the table and still veto a governor's, and still override a governor's veto. So we got to pick up 4 Senate seats. We got to start knocking those things down in California to start turning it around. We're not going to go from 75% Democrats to 50% plus center-right Republican, however you want to say it, in one election cycle, unless there's just something, unless everything's just totally collapsed. So, but we can start. We need to knock it down. One of them, and we got to hopefully very soon there will be a candidate announced in Assembly District 60, which covers a little bit of the east end of Riverside, mostly Moreno Valley, Paris, San Jacinto, about 1/3 of Hemet, the rural areas of Nuevo, Romaland, Homeland, and Green Acres. And in that area, but we're going to have, I believe, a very credible, well-funded candidate to run against Corey Jackson. And that's one seat, that's one of them. That's one of the 7 target seats. And we can do that in the Inland Empire. Hopefully by here in about 2 or 3 weeks, Natasha Johnson will be signed in to take over AD 63, which was a Saley's old district. Which is kind of Corona, Lake Elsinore. I think goes into Woodcrest. Kind of in that area. That should be a slam dunk. But we can take a Democrat district in 60, which we need to do all across the board. On top of that, we need to concentrate. We've got, I know Jackie's on this. We got 3 seats up in the Board of Supervisors of Riverside County. Extian Gutierrez, Karen Spiegel, and Victor Manuel Perez. I believe there's going to be another good candidate to run in the 4th district, which is basically the lower desert. Everything east of Hemet, Banning, Beaumont, the Pass area, all that Palm Springs, Indio, Coachella, Salton Sea, Blythe, that's the 4th district, all the lower desert, most all of it. I think we're going to have a very good candidate. You might have seen him Tuesday at the Board of Supervisors. Maybe you didn't. I think we're going to have a very good candidate to run against Victor. Manny Perez, as most of you know him by, 4th District Supervisor, to run against him. We can take that seat, which we should, that would pay for letting Chuck Washington sit in the District 3 seat, which we blew in the last election. Didn't even get it out of the, he won in the primary, Washington. But if we take the 4th District back, which again emanates California, used to be rock solid center-right Republican on the Board of Supervisors. Since Moonbeam appointed Manny Perez, and he's gotten elected, once or twice. And you can see, you want to put up with the BS they did at the Board of Supervisors meeting? Ever since, Manny's been screwing us around, moving our regular public comments to the last of the meeting. Last Tuesday, Everyone was there. And his side, the center left, the ACU guys were pissed. 75 plus speakers signed up, and he moves it all the way to the bottom of the meeting, so we had to wait. They didn't start public comment till 1 o'clock. That's what Victor Manuel Perez thinks of the residents of Riverside County. He will screw you around. He's not your friend. There's lots of good tidbits that came out. That's why I want to get to you Thursday and Friday when I got more time. On the other two issues, like I'm saying, when of the healthcare, the exploding costs in that, and the Harmony Haven, and the absolute heartbreaking treatment and information we've got on how they're treating the foster kids in Riverside County. You know, oh, we're working on it. 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years later, we still, oh, we're working on it, we're trying. That's not good enough. You imagine if they're treating the kids like that? Imagine what they think of you. It really is distressing. Let's check in more in the KCRA 3 report on Kamala.
Joining us at noon, I'm Lisa Gonzalez. This announcement comes after much anticipation for her decision to run for governor of California following current Governor Gavin Newsom's departure in 2026. The decision leaving many wondering who will be a lead candidate in next year's election. We have KCRA 3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala joining us. This is huge news, especially for the Democratic Party and people who were kind of waiting to fundraise and really get their campaign going.
This essentially breaks a dam that was holding